What's it like living life as a creative individual? Is it fun? Is it as exciting as other people might think it is? There's a good side and a bad side to being creative. Some of the preconceptions that I have come across as a creative person is one, you're weird, you're eccentric, people don't immediately understand you. Many times people assume very incorrect things about you, maybe just by the color shirt you're wearing. Uh, I've had people ask my sexual preference, even though I'm married and they know my wife, by if I was wearing a hot pink shirt. So those are just some of the things that you can expect to come across, that people have these strange preconceived ideas if you're a creative person. It gets even weirder when you're trying to monetize your creativity and work in an industry with professionals and business people, and they get to see you very up close and personal as a creative person. And sometimes you as a creative doesn't match the ideal person in a business person's head of what type of employee they want. And yet, when you look at the world around us, everything has been designed and built by creative people. And yet, for some reason, our United States, our economy, the world really doesn't value art. It's become a commodity. And because of that, many creative people have a hard time when they're trying to monetize their creativity, trying to make money from their talents. And so I'm going to share a couple things that I've gone through, uh, things that have been good, things that have been bad, and things that I've learned from, and things that I'd like to share with you. So here's the first thing. As a creative person, it's a blessing and a curse. It's a double-edged sword, so to speak. You have beautiful talents, things that inspire you. You might listen to a song, or you might see a performance or see a work of art, and you might be moved, and you might feel all these emotions that then make you want to go and create. You might be a musician or a painter or a writer or filmmaker, so many different things, and you get inspired from an idea, from a feeling or an experience you have, and it motivates you to want to tell a story. And we can debate where these ideas and inspiration come from, but if you're a creative person, you feel compelled to create. In fact, that's what gives your life meaning, ultimately, is what you create and the way you are able to take the feelings inside of you that you don't have words for and translate them into words. Because really, when you think about it, when we're dreaming, we're not thinking necessarily of words. We're on the side of our brain that is all thinking about images and showing us images and scenes and memories. And that's kind of how I think. I think a lot in images. And so it takes me a while sometimes to translate what I'm feeling or thinking into words. And this can be awkward at times because people, especially in business, they say, well, give me your ideas. This is our problem. What do you think? And sometimes it can take a while because if you're a visual person, you might see things in different ways, and it takes a while to kind of translate that. And sometimes what you give people, they expect, oh, you're this creative person, you should give me the perfect answer that I want the very first time, not realizing that it usually takes iterations and asking lots of questions to get to a point where everybody's on the same page, so where an idea can be expressed properly. And usually there's not enough time for that. Most people want things yesterday. And that's another problem, is because you have to deal with time. And when you're rushed, I don't know about you, but with me, when I feel rushed, it's hard to feel at my best to create. I have to be in the mood, especially if I'm making music. I'll find a groove, I'll find something that I like, and I'll build upon that. But if I don't have the time to get into that groove to begin with, it's going to be hard if someone says, sit down and write a song and get it done. It's like, okay, I might be able to do that for you, but am I going to love it? And that's where it starts to be hard for artists and creative people working and monetizing their skills, is because it takes a piece of us. It takes part of us putting our experiences, our memories, our feelings, our thoughts into something in order to create, usually by a deadline. Then when that gets rejected over and over and over and over, it's like a constant beating that we're taking as creative people. And that can be very challenging, especially if you are a very agreeable person. If you like to please others, you care about what people think, which is a beautiful quality. But unfortunately, the psychology has shown that disagreeable people are actually, you know, they're going to get promotions, they're going to get uh, moved up the ladder, so to speak, quicker than people who are agreeable and nice and don't assert their opinion very often. And so that is something that you have to decide as a creative person. Are you fit for that environment? You know, because there comes a point where you start off as a creative, maybe a graphic designer, a video editor, UI, UX designer, and you have to have a career path. Let's say you're 25. Where are you going to be in 5 years? You're going to be managing a whole team of people. Where are you going to be in 15 years? Well, I know that my job and my career has evolved many, many times. From the time I was 16, I was a professional DJ all the way until about 2008. I switched full time. At that point, I had been doing graphic design, website design on the side, never really thinking that it would turn into anything much, because my music and DJing career was going strong and I was making good money on that. But as things changed, things in my life changed, and I had to adapt. And well, I moved to a whole new city. I didn't know anybody, I had no network. And so all I could fall back on was those creative talents. And so I had to find people that needed that help. And you do have to adapt to their needs and to what they want, especially if you're going to become a freelancer. And that's a little bit easier because you can choose your work, but then you have the other problem is if you don't have enough offers, you're broke. And so that can be tough. So as creative people, then we sometimes decide, well, I'll go get a job. I'll get a 9 to 5 job. I'll accept this position as a graphic designer, a UI, UX director, whatever the job is, web designer, web developer, programmer, whatever. You get into that position, and maybe you start off, your salary is pretty good, but does that company give you room to grow? Do they listen to your ideas? Are you with a team of people that you enjoy? Do you get to express your ideas? Do you get to brainstorm with people? Do you get to create things? Or are you constantly told no, 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 and just constantly face that rejection because you're trying to do something beautiful and big and meaningful, and the other people around you, they don't value it the same way. And so there's a perceptual problem there, issue of perception. The way we see our art and the way we value it, sometimes it's very personal to us. And this is strange because then when you flip it and you say, come out of the corporate world, but you go into the freelance world, many creative people have a hard time putting a value to whatever they offer. So, for example, if you're a painter, and I've had painters say this directly to me. I said, "Oh, wow, that painting is amazing that's on your wall. I love that. You know, who painted that?" And they'll say, "Oh, I did that." And I said, "I have no idea you were even a painter." And I say, "Is that for sale? Could I buy that from you?" And they say, "Oh, you like it?" Like they're shocked that I even like it. And they can't put a price tag on it. I've had people actually tell me like, well, I don't feel it's really mine to sell because I was inspired from another situation from someone else. And there's this idea that even though we're the ones that produce it, some artists really do believe that ideas come from outside of us, and maybe they do, but that's not the point. The point is that you are an artist, you are a creator, and you have to learn to value yourself. Because if you don't value yourself, no one is going to appreciate what you have to offer if you don't value it. And if you're working for someone in a corporate atmosphere, I can tell you right now, if you don't value your work, they are not going to value it either. So you need to learn how to advocate for yourself. I recommend learning who you are. I recommend going to understandmyself.com, paying $10, and learn about your personality. See how you're naturally wired and understand your temperament, because that's going to help you do better in the corporate world, especially. If you're a highly agreeable person and you want to make people happy, then you're going to have a hard time saying no. People are going to keep pushing you and pushing you and pushing you, and you're going to have a hard time saying no. If you're a very disagreeable person, you're probably not going to be well liked, but you'll probably move up the ladder quicker. So it depends what your goal is. If your goal is to just make money and get to the top and be a jerk, that's usually, unfortunately, how that works. So being an artist and being a creative person, you really have to figure out, who am I? What do I want? And how do I see myself getting there? And I'll tell you right now, people talk about having a 10-year plan, but as a creative person, especially after COVID, things are changing so exponentially quickly. I honestly don't even know if creative people can create 10-year plans at this point. It seems to me like 3 to 5 year plans seem to be more effective, I would bet. So we'll see what happens from that prediction. But being an artist can also be a beautiful thing, because even if you don't love your work when you have completed it, there are times when you will look back on an experience or on a situation, or you'll see a painting, like the painting hanging behind me there. That was one of the first 5 paintings I've ever done. I don't know any technique. I just got out some paints and did what I tried to do. In the beginning, I didn't really like it. Now I love it. So sometimes we just put in the time, we see where it takes us, we do the best that we can. Sometimes we love it, sometimes we don't. But at the end of the day, learn to value yourself. Learn to appreciate who you are. Learn to appreciate how unique you are and what you have to offer the world. Stop trying to be somebody else. Find out who you are and then monetize that. Learn your value and help other people see it too.